Hello, referees and basketball fans. Welcome to another episode of the Hoops Official. Hoops Official is a platform which aims to help referees like myself advance in their career. And on that note, today I'm having a conversation with one of the true legends of the game, Mr. Oļegs Latiševs. And you know what I'm talking about if you're familiar with Euroleague, European basketball, or world of officiating. He has a stunning career behind him, and we had a conversation with him where there was a great many learnings that could be useful for referees like me or anybody who is listening to this. We talked about communications, we talked about pre-game routines, we talked about mechanics, areas of responsibility, positioning, and we talk about dealing with different types of coaches and players. So tune into the whole episode and share it forward with your referee pals or anybody who's really interested in understanding the world of officiating a little bit more and who is interested in the kitchen of the European basketball. Thank you. Oļegs, welcome to the episode. It's a privilege to host you. You are this is your 29th year in refereeing. You have more than 1,500 games behind you. We're talking about Olympics, we're talking about FIBA World Cup, we're talking about Eurobasket, we're talking about the local Latvian league. So your experience speaks volumes, and we're eager to learn from you.
Happy to be here and share some thoughts about officiating and share all the tips that I can give to the young officials, and hopefully somebody will catch them and use them.
I'm sure there will be many. I'm looking forward to it, and I'm sure a lot of referees who will be listening to this will be learning a lot and actually taking things into practice as soon as possible. So I'm a big believer of the dream is the journey kind of motto. So getting there is part of the journey that is very interesting to me and exciting, and we need to be mindful about it. And you have a long career, as we talked about, 28 years. 29 is about the start. So when you look back, what has been the highlights and milestones? So some things you look back and say that, okay, this was the moment I felt like I made it, or this was the moment that I am glad that it happened to me. Can you recognize these moments in your refereeing journey so far?
I believe so. I would mention my first game as a referee. It was back 2000. Which year was 20? I was 14 years old kid. And I was officiating kids under 10 years old in Ventspils in the youth competition. And that was exciting. So I was really trying to do my best. Parents were screaming, everybody was screaming. So I said, oh, this is a difficult job, but I like that. So, and I promised to my coach so that I would do this. And so for the rest of the season. So now I was doing this. The next, I would mention the decision to be the referee and to sign the contract to be a player. So I had the chance to sign the contract in the second league and to earn I think $300 per month and to play in the second league. But in the end of the day, my mother is the teacher, and she said that education is the most important, and that will save your life in the future. And just look around and look at yourself. Do you really want and you believe you can play in the highest level and earn a lot of money with basketball? And I said, I think no. But at that moment, I was already officiating for a couple of years, and I understood that if I want to stay in the basketball because I love basketball, maybe officiating is one of the things that would also match with education. And she was right. I didn't make any, stops in my education. So I graduated economics, Master of Economics. I have a degree. And then later on, I think 3 years ago, I graduated also the art school. So I have 2 degrees. And yes, this was the day when I was thinking. I had a conversation with my mother that should we do which way you go, and she made me thinking, and that was the decision. The other day I would mention was the day when I received the email from Federation that I became a FIBA referee. And I remember that day I was in the office, and we have a big office. It was in the internet portal, the news portal. So I was working there for 13 years. I was creating the database systems and the advertising systems from the inside, how the advertising is working on the internet portals. So a lot of different things, a lot of different tasks I was working on, and also selling advertising. And that moment when the email came, I screamed, "Yes, I did it!" And all the office turned around, and I said, "I did it." Even the director came out from his office, and he said, "What happened?" And I said, "I just became the FIBA referee." So what does it mean? He asked me. I said, "I will travel." I said, "Okay, but be sure you do your job." So I was still working there for a long time. Since that 10 years, I worked in that company.
So in total, 23 years. Like you worked.
13 years I worked
13 years.
there.
Okay, in total. All right.
Yeah. I would mention another thing is NBA Summer League.
Yeah.
That also was a kind of trigger point for me that when I went there, 2012, it was something I never experienced in the States. So I saw the type and the way of education of the referees in the NBA, and how they recruit them, what is behind. I didn't know that for one empty spot in the NBA for the officials, there are 1,400 referees waiting.
Wow.
Yeah. So if you are chosen one, so can you imagine how many referees you're left behind?
Yeah.
So the difference between Riga and Las Vegas was, I think, 10 hours. But when I came back, I said, it's not 10 hours. It's about 20 years we're behind about communication, presentation, court presence, preparation ourselves, everything. I saw, because I couldn't sleep. I went to the gym in the morning, but it was like 5, 6 o'clock in the morning. And it was because of the jet lag, and a lot of guys were there working, and I was shocked. And for them was not nothing, no problems with the sleep. I had a problem with the sleep. They didn't have any problem. They came to prepare and to do the job. So this is the way how they present themselves, how they communicate. There are so many things we could learn from them. So this was the turning point. I believe another one would be Olympic Games. Yeah. This is something for every athlete in the world would love to participate in the Olympic Games. And I had this privilege to be in the Olympic Games in 2012 in London, and then later in Rio also. But London was first time. Yeah, and I was amazed about everything. The way when we took the train to go to measure the uniform, all the small things. The opening ceremony was something it's still in your mind. So these are the moments. And I will also mention my first Final Four in the EuroLeague. It was 2010. Right. I officiated a game for the third place game, and for me it was like a final. I was so excited about this, and the game was between Partizan and CSKA. So the game finished with the overtime. So I was excited about this tournament. So this was something for me.
Right. I like how you mentioned, the kind of the gradual climax of your refereeing career, and each of them has different kind of impact. I obviously don't have as many highs as you do yet, but I can definitely agree with you on the minor league refereeing part. Like one of my first games that I've ever refereed was like 9-year-old kids, and it was very scary experience, to be honest. Like I would have rather be brought into the adult game than just 9-year-old with parents in the stands, and the coach is yelling, everybody is yelling. It's just super loud everywhere. The kids are yelling as well. It was an experience. I still remember that, and I think I will remember it. And if I ever reach to numbers like you do, 30 years refereeing career, I think I will mention that day. I'll be mentioning that day as well. So you mentioned the EuroLeague Final Four as one of your highlights or milestone of your career, and I would like to ask about the EuroLeague Path. So was that a choice, or were you headhunted? How does one go to EuroLeague in that sense?
It was like a headhunted, because the cooperation between EuroLeague and FIBA that year was very good. Mm-hmm. They cooperated, so I was invited in 2007 to summer to Treviso, where we had this camp for the players and also for the referees. So, and it was a great place to show your abilities and to show what kind of referee you are. And it was like a tryout. Okay. So I liked that so much. So, and after this year, I was invited later to the EuroLeague Clinic, and then my journey with the EuroLeague started.
Yeah. All right. And you have refereed quite many Final Fours since, right? In EuroLeague. I would like to say 10?
11.
11. All right. I was very close. Did you whistle in the 2018 edition in Belgrade, by the way? I'm asking because I'm wearing the T-shirt from there. It was my first Final Four as a fan, watching live.
I think yes.
Right.
I have this ball at home.
All right, so this is not our first encounter then. We were in the same arena in 2018. Yeah, that's fine. Great. So, is there any substantial difference that is worth mentioning officiating in FIBA games and EuroLeague games?
We have some differences with the rules. For example, jump ball we take all the balls. Maybe semicircle rule. Where the secondary defender is coming in, it is standing in the semicircle. It's a defensive foul automatically. So IRS plays, we have more. We have 16 plays, but the level, if we look to Olympics or World Cup or Eurobasket, the EuroLeague players are playing there. They are the main players there, so they don't play differently. So everything else is the same, just some small details. But like in the NBA, they have small details the same. We have small details.
And it's good that you really mentioned, like when we talk about EuroLeague, we talk about the highest level European basketball and the most elite players in the continent. So as a referee, you need to be on that level, and then there's a certain pressure that comes with it. So how do you go about preparing for the games? And what I would like to learn particularly from you is that you also, as a human being, must have days where you're not 100%. That's a game day and you're not feeling 100%. You might have had a bad call. You might be feeling under the weather. You might have gotten a bad news. I don't know, what have you. How do you cope with these moments in preparation? Because the pressure is there regardless how you're feeling or not. You're feeling good or bad.
Yeah, I would say preparation is the key. So I would prepare myself for this game. What we do, we scout both teams before we go to the game. Then what we want is to create a team, the officiating team on the court. It means you want to share the travel plan with your partners. Why? You want to have dinner with them before, when you arrive earlier. You have a dinner with your partners. You discuss not only about basketball, but it's about some personal life. How are you doing at work? I don't know, any hobbies. So any other things that you get to know personally. And then you have, the routine that helps you to create a team. So, for example, if I'm the crew chief of the game, I would go. I would speak the less from the crew. I would let the people who's in my team by asking the questions. How do you see the game? What is your relations with one coach, with the other coach? Do you have any problems with any of the players? How my experience, how I'm dealing with one coach or with the other coach. So we share the information that can be useful for us to run this game and to be ready for this game. So, and then if you have a bad call, a good call, it doesn't matter because you are prepared for the team. You are preparing the team. So everything is about the team. So this is how I do, and I would not change anything because I like the way how it works. Until now, it was working on a very good level. I'm using this technique and this kind of preparation with my team.
All right. So you kind of operate as a team so much so that, if you're an individual is having slightly bad day, the team as a whole actually can compensate for that. That makes sense. And about this pre-game talk that you talked about, did you want to add something in there?
Yes. My idea as a crew chief is to make the other people better. Right. So I would mention any situations when I'm not so good. So I would ask them to help me in these areas. So, and there's one good thing with some of the observers. We find out that if you have some tasks, specific tasks in this game For example, I would like to focus on the travelings. I would like to focus on lending space fouls. I would like to focus on secondary defenders if I can pick up the secondary defender and make the correct call. So it makes you in your areas when you are not excellent, you can prepare and you can concentrate more. And you have somebody behind who is following this, and you can discuss with him some moments. Did you achieve this or not in the game? So this also helps you, to put the concentration more in the game and not to think about some bad mood or something like that.
And this pre-game talk is quite interesting because it is where a lot of referees bring your styles, and you already talked about it. What happens is there a difference? For example, I am a very inexperienced referee in that sense, and luck strikes, and I end up refereeing a game with you, my first ever EuroLeague game. What is your approach to that situation? Because there is no experience with players, coaches before, so it's the kind of the first dance for the new guy in the team. How do you handle that kind of interactions in your team?
Okay. The first thing I would say, if you are here for the first EuroLeague game because you deserve this, that's the first thing. And I don't want you to show me anything that you never showed before. Just be yourself and officiate how you think and why they choose you. Because they choose you because you are good enough for this level. So after the game, we will go with the details. But now, do your job and do the basics in the correct way. Nothing else. This is, I would say to you.
All right. I'm hyped. When are we doing
it? Whenever you are invited.
Yes. Let's see when that happens. Yeah, we already got into a little bit of the technicality of refereeing. You talked about focusing on a certain task, and this brings us to some of the other things regarding the in-game situations that I'd like to discuss with you. For example, areas of responsibility, positioning, mechanics. The areas of responsibility, as a debated topic in the sense that there is natural overlaps in areas of responsibility, and then there might be better angles, although it's not your AOR. There might be a better angle that you see the position, and then one way or another, double calls happens, no calls happens as a result of it. How do you see that? How do you handle the areas of responsibility situations, or where do you draw the line in that sense?
Okay, good. I would also mention this in the pregame because this is one of the topics. What I always say is, what is my idea as a crew chief? I want everybody to feel very comfortable on the court. And what I mean is when there is a double call, for example, and somebody didn't have a call for 5 minutes, I would mention this to the referee and say, hey, go to report. Because reporting is something that you present yourself and you are kind of in the game.
Right.
So, in the double call, if somebody says, let me go, and showing let me go, I would always let the person go because it's important to him to feel comfortable on the court and the team.
Right.
It means in the case when there is no situation for the reporting for the last 5-10 minutes. If you have 3 fouls against one team, you feel inside this balance. So there is another call that against the other team. So you want to balance yourself inside. So they are not calling against one team only by coincidence. So you want to report and you say, "Let me go." That's okay. This is understandable. We discussed this before the game.
Okay.
So this is the areas of responsibility.
All right.
But when you call something in front of somebody, in that level, you call it because you want to help the game and your partner. This is the highest level of the elite officiating teamwork.
Right.
This is the reason why you do the call outside your area, because you want to help the game. And when somebody is calling in front of me and I didn't see something, what I say thank you.
All right.
Every time I say thank you to my partners, and this is the way how we create the trust between us.
All right. So if I were to recap a little bit, there's double call situations. There is nuances to it. Like, so you basically, after a double call occurs, who reports it is something you discuss in the pre-game because of the game situations that can happen. Somebody have called X amount of fouls against one team, and then there's this imbalance. Another referee did not call any foul for the last 5 minutes, so you kind of give the stage to that referee so that she can present themselves as well. And then of course you trust your referee partners, because we're talking about the elite level of officiating in the continent. So if they call something, you're thankful that they did, because they want to help the game.
Yeah.
Right.
But the other thing is, I would also mention, if there is a double call and we are equal with the fouls, everything is fine. There is no way to find a balance. Everything is fine. Just a double call. Then we have the rule that the referee, whose primary is that, who's receiving the play, is going to report.
Yeah.
But before going, he says, I go. So just we confirm that we know that who is going. It's not like two referees are going to report. Then that would look awful.
Right.
But as you see, eye contact in this case is the key, I would say.
Exactly. That is something I've learned recently in the 3PO officiating. I had my first experience with the 3PO this summer. So eye contact, especially if there's three of you, is essential to maintain an orchestrated approach to the game. Otherwise, it can easily go to chaos if you're inexperienced on that note. One thing I'd like to ask you as well, again, we're talking about mechanics and AORs. So the lead referee in the baseline kickstarts the rotation according to FIBA 3PO guidelines. So if the game moves to the other direction, to the other side of the court, the referee, the lead referee kicks off the rotation, and then the trail and center changes position as well. So I have done it, and then I've seen a lot of people doing it. I've observed it. Is there a secret sauce to it after like 28 years of refereeing, in the sense that you are much more capable of reading the game? Or is it still like, you kind of judge the situation very spontaneously?
If we go spontaneously, there would be chaos.
Right.
For the players, how they run the plays. So, no, actually, there are many things. The way how you scout the game, you also scout the teams, how they play.
Right.
What kind of plays they run more. So this is one of the tasks. So then you make the rotations according to the ball, where the goal should go and how it goes. So if you go 8 plays, you make the 8 plays from 10. That's a great anticipation of reading the plays, because sometimes the players are not doing the right thing, or they see something. They play their own, so it's you are surprised by what they are doing. Also, the coaches are surprised by the players, what they are doing. So some crazy things. So you cannot be right all the time. So
sure.
And the most important thing is I have one trick what I'm using when I'm running for the fast break. For example, in this case, it's the distance between the points, trail to lead to trail, and center to center is the same.
Yeah.
So when you start running the fast break, just check your partners if you are in the right spot. And when you arrive to the place, just have a look, eye contact with your partners, because this is the time that the offense, if they don't make the fast break, then it's the normal offense. They don't try to shoot in the first seconds.
Right.
So they set something, to run some plays, and different teams are applying different tactics. So, for example, when Zalgris went to the Final Four, I believe this was the year when Zalgris was in the Final Four.
2018, I was there, yeah.
What they were doing, their offense was first 8 seconds. So because the big teams were tired to go back, and they overrun them. So for us, it's another way of preparation. So we need to kick to the fast break as fast as possible, not to miss the fouls in the baseline. So this is a different kind of preparation.
Yeah. And this is I particularly wanted to ask you because I've discussed this with other referees as well, and it's striking how much the knowledge of the game and knowledge of the teams actually comes into play when you go to the elite level. Like, you need to know their sets, you need to know their plays. It becomes very important, and that's something I kind of try to repeat here, so that the aspiring referees also kind of make a mental note of it to get familiar with the teams and the playing styles to whatever capacity is possible at their level. Right, and then I want to ask, now that we're on the court, we're refereeing, we talked about the rotations, we talked about the AORs, and I want to talk about, again, something about you and what you do. This is about concentration. So the game is 40 minutes. A lot of things happen. Some games are quite fast, some games are slow moving, low score. So how do you keep your concentration during the game at a steady level? You mentioned in one of your interviews that you have certain breathing techniques, for example, that helps you maintain a certain persona, if I recall right. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Oh, concentration. For the breathing techniques, it's more about pressure before the game, how you can handle the pressure before the game, because when you come to the court and there are 25,000 spectators and they are not in your favor, they are screaming your name, they are ready to kill you. So at that moment, you are human being, so you understand that the pressure is big. So you try to do your routine, for the preparation, for example, warming up before the game. I have my own, time when I'm having this running before the game, this warming up between 14 and 12 minutes. So I need 2 minutes because I already run in the corridor, so I'm ready. So, but just the renews not to be cooled down, because 20 minutes, I don't know, 25 minutes is too long between your warming up. So if you warm up in the corridor, doesn't mean anything if you don't keep it. So you don't put the heart rates up. So I do this for 2 minutes. It's quite enough for me. I found out it's good for me. It's working for me. And then if it doesn't help you, to put the pressure down, because I always tell to the young officials, I have seen them sitting down in the locker room and doing nothing, and I'm in the corridor coming after 12 minutes sweating. So I say, "Are you going to run?" No, I'm okay. I said, okay, this is my way of putting down the pressure, so I'm mentally and physically ready for this kind of game.
Yeah.
So, and then some of the officials, young officials, they catch this. They understood that something was wrong in the first quarter because they were not ready for this speed, for this level, and they were overthinking, and then they said, maybe you are right. I said, maybe I'm right. You never know, but you need to try next game. So to warm up, and you tell me, did it work for you well or not? So after they came to me and they said, yes, it did. So maybe this is one of the advices for the young officials to warm up before the game, and to warm up very good before.
Yeah. When you say, just a follow-up question, when you say warm up, like I do try to warm up, and then my warm-up routine consists of, I'm in the field, and then, running end line to end line, doing stretches. But I guess what you mean is really warming up in terms of, getting maybe even your heart rate to a certain point, so that you mentally are already in the game when the first whistle or when the first jump ball kickstarts the game. Do I interpret it right?
Yeah, correctly. When you're in the corridor, for example, 10, 12 minutes, this is the time when you can put your heart rate up to the maximum level. So without any problems, running, 3-4 minutes, and then doing some sprints, some exercises, just to be ready. Because imagine these guys, we are standing in there for 20 minutes, and the big players, they are running so fast, they are preparing. And then there is a first fast break, and we cannot catch this because we are not ready for this. And then Achilles problems, and then the injuries. But this is because we are not warming up. We didn't warm it up enough for this kind of game.
All right, this is a very good advice. I'm actually going to.
Yes, and for the breathing, so I'm breathing. I have different breathing techniques. So before the game, when there's pressure and you're standing there and you're looking around, somebody is singing your name, somebody is screaming. So you just think about the breath, how you take it out. So and this helps you a lot. So nobody recognizes this. That this is I'm somewhere else, even around is some firecrackers, everything. So but I'm with myself. So I would recommend just people to find some breathing techniques that can calm down your pressure. And there is a lot in the YouTube you can find easily.
All right.
And how to keep the concentration in the game for us, as you know, we don't have any coach to keep you up or substitute you, and there is nobody who can motivate you in the game. It's only you and your partners.
Right.
And if you don't have partners who would motivate you, then it would be very difficult to keep your concentration level. So what I'm doing, I go minute by minute. I know that I have 40 minutes in the game, and I go minute by minute. I go from 10 to 9, I go from 9 to 8, so and minute by minute.
Okay.
And then in the last minute, I go play by play, or in the last 2 minutes, I go play by play. And during the game, I try to show to my partners. So I say something when we switch. I said a great call, or well, that was a great call. So, and I mean it. So when there is not a great call, I say nothing.
All
I
right.
would say anything. So when there's a great call, I would mention this and say, "Oh, that was a great call."
Right.
But sometimes you are alone on the court, and nobody is supporting you. Nobody cares about you. You don't have good relations, and it's a kind of situation when you need to find the trigger words. So when I have mine trigger words that bring me to the condition that are important for me. For example, why I'm doing this job. There is, for example, for some people it can be the kid, the first kid, the name of the kid. I don't know, family, mother, father, whatever.
All right.
Mm, I'm using the trigger words. For example, next game. So we are good as our last game, and I'm working this game for the next one, so that I receive the next game. Every time I work for the next game, and when something is bad, I have a bad call. I said, okay, next game, next game. So and it brings me to the condition. But first, you need to try this at home.
Sure.
First of all, you are in the sofa, you feel very comfortable, and you think about the family, and you say family is the trigger word for me. So you think why your family is so important. So you are doing this job not only for yourself, that to be a great referee. It's a paid job, and you do it as a job for your family. So you put a lot of things around this. So and this is important. So this is a trigger word. So, but everybody should find their word, their words that brings them to work harder for the next play, for the
All
next
right.
game. I don't know,
Okay.
whatever.
So it's very interesting. Couple of advices I hear from you, and I'm going to recap this because this was a great bit. So the warm up part, do a very good warm up, elevate your heart rate to prevent the slow starts to the game as a referee. That's number one thing I've heard from you. Do a good warm up. Then you talked about how like you take the game in chunks, so you don't see the game 40 minutes block or even 10 minutes quarters, but you take it minute by minute. So
Right.
so you just referee for the next minute. It's not like the 33 minutes left, 32 minutes left. You look at the minute that is in front of you, and then the trigger word is the way you keep kind of. It's something that brings you to the moment. If you feel like you're losing concentration, and I understand that it has to have some sort of emotional value that is
Yes,
attached to this job.
Absolutely.
All right, very good advices. And then we talked about all this stuff and talk about pressure. Now I'm gonna crank up the pressure a little bit more, because we're gonna talk about the things that make our job harder. One of which is dealing with, for example, different types of coaches, different personas that we deal with on the court. There's, for example, one type that I, for example, experienced quite a lot in the kind of lower levels or younger levels, youth levels, is the type that kind of talks all the time. It just says something. Traveling. You didn't call the traveling, or that was a foul. as you're passing by. It's just, just say something. She is not meaning to talk to you. It's just, just saying something to you. And then you have referees who expect an explanation but do not accept it. So you tell, this is how I see it and this is what I'm calling, but then the emotional argument is continue to come up. And then there's the third one, which is like, they're calm, but then they catch you doing something wrong, like a mistake, and then they just keep pressuring you about that rest of the game. And then it's like kind of making you maybe doubt even like, is the next call I'm going to make right or not, kind of thing. So how do you, deal with these situations, these different types of coach? Do you have like can you recall a challenging situation that you want to share with us from your career?
Okay, the first you mentioned was the coach who is talking all the time about every call you make.
Yeah.
This is not the highest level, because I will tell you the highest level of how it works. So my advice is just ignore this. Every every time somebody is speaking something, it's not a question, it's a statement. So you just ignore this. When it comes to personal, you give a warning and then a technical foul. This is the way how I would deal this during the game.
All right.
For the emotional coaches, they're emotional, they're doing crazy things, but I assure one thing: every coach, whatever he's doing, whatever crazy thing he's doing, he knows exactly what he's doing.
Yeah.
And he has the reason to do this. Is he trying to be kicked out? Is he trying to do something to get some advantage of this? They know exactly what they are doing. If they are screaming with a purpose. So everything at that level, what coaches are doing, they know exactly what they are doing. There are emotions, but with these emotions, they know exactly when they let their emotions go and why they do this.
All right.
The third coach that you mentioned was the one who catch you with a mistake.
Yeah.
These are the masters, because one of the greatest coaches who passed away, Duda Ivkovic, was one of them. And I learned this from him, because when he catch you with a mistake, he will be carrying, holding you for the moment. And what I did always, when I made a mistake, I always admit this with all the coaches. And I said, look, I don't want to make any other mistakes. So I made a mistake. I didn't see this. I was not in the best position. So it was my mistake. And I continue to work. So because I concentrate for the next play, for the next minute. So that's it. This is how I would communicate with these coaches. But I would ask you a question. What do you think is the best communication between coach and referee?
Good. And now the interviewer becomes interviewee here. What do I think is the best type of communication between a referee and coach? I would say a respectful one, where the coach feels like they are encouraged to interact with the referee in a good way. Like if they want, they can ask a question about a call or two, and then the referee has the kind of headspace to explain it. That is what comes to my mind first. Is that going to be a true answer, or what do you think?
I would mention that the communication between coaches, players, the best one is zero.
Zero?
Yes. The coaches are coaching and the referees are refereeing. So This would be the perfect example of communication. So we don't communicate because we are doing different jobs. And
so the best communication is no need for a communication kind of thing. Yeah. Because if it's the best communication, it's not communications. We might sound like we're encouraging to ignore the coaches. But no. So you referee, you do a good job, and then there's no need for a communication, and the other way around. Coaches do a good job. Yeah. Right. That is going onto the cover of this interview. What was it again? Best communication is
zero communication.
Is zero communication. Perfect. All right. Let's go to a little bit to the players. And I have an example for this. We talked about it. So a lot of referees are encouraged to stay calm, during the game, not show a lot of emotions, not to players, not to fans, not to the coaches. But then there's this situation from 2022 Final Four. It is a semi-final game. It's a very close game. And you are the trail referee. And the center referee calls a foul on Kostas Sloukas from Olympiacos at the time. And then Kostas Sloukas goes crazy after the call. Like he's very agitated, and he shows it.
The game is not over. The game is not over. The game is not over. The Costa. The game is no. Talk to me.
You kind of get to his level in terms of you're matching his emotional range in order to comment that, which is something unorthodox if you think of what referees are taught. Stay calm all the time, kind of thing. So can you tell us what was going on in your mind at the moment, and how did what you do in that moment actually work the way you want it?
Yeah, I remember the play. It was in the end of the game. Everybody was very emotional. We also get emotional, but I would say one thing that was very easy to communicate with Costa because I know him from early years. He started to play. So we always had very honest communication. If I made a mistake, I could admit him the mistake, or he could ask any questions, but he's a very quiet guy. So my idea at that moment was just to get his attention.
Yep.
And to remove him, not to remove, to guide him for the next play. What I said, I believe I said, the game is not over.
Game is not over. Yeah.
Not over. The next play, or there is something. The next is important. So I let him think, and I made him think about the next play that was most important. So you don't give a technical foul. You just re-guide the player for the next, so he can play the next situation. Because we give a technical foul, they lose the game, and everything is on us because we couldn't communicate enough with the players to calm them down in that play. So I believe this was a good communication. I still believe that. So if somebody disagree, maybe, but I think it was a good communication. So
I do 100% agree. I actually used it a couple of times. Well, not with the same. I didn't go to that emotional peak, but I reminded the player, like when they started to get on the verge of getting a technical, I said, there's X amount of minutes left in the game. Focus on the next play. Like you don't want to, give an easy point to the opponent by getting a technical. And it actually works. Like when you say it that way, I can kind of confirm my experience that it works. But then you mentioned that you had like a prior relationship with Sloukas, kind of like you knew him from previous years in games. Do you think that kind of relationship is mandatory for what you did?
It helped me to because I remember his name.
Yeah.
I called him by the name. That was important. But I could do this with the player even the first time I meet him, and I would try to do the same thing to re-guide him or for the next play. See, okay. This I would do. But I use one more word in my communication with players. When something is going wrong and somebody is pushed, or they are trying to do something between the players, trash talk or something like that, I use the word professional. Okay. I call them professionals, and I said, you are professional, and professionals don't act like that. You are truly professional, and I put that in the mind of the player because they are professionals, but sometimes they lose the mind and they act strange. Right. So I try to put them back to understand how many examples for the young kids they are. For example, these players are true examples for the young players, and they are watching them. So I believe this word also is working for me.
It is also a flattering word, like to hear that you're a professional. It's actually it might actually work in a way that like you said, you use it to kind of put them back into the mindset of a professional, but also it's a form of flattery that being called a professional of something. So it's actually good kind of diffusing the situation, deflating the situation material. At least it sounds like it.
It's true, but I truly believe that they are professional. I'm not lying. So I'm just reminding that.
Yeah.
About that.
I will try to use that, and I will report back to you to say how it went. Right. Okay, let's talk about. There's a couple of more questions. Let's see, where does this go? I want to ask you this because this came from the audience. This is two-part question. It's about nonverbal communication, and you mentioned in some of the previous podcasts that I listened to you speak that you check the footage of the game you refereed the day after, or sometime after, and then you look your signals, you look at your posture, body language, all that stuff. So the question is, like, how big of a part of nonverbal communication is part of your persona? How important it is to you? Obviously, it must be important because you're watching it, but I'd like to hear that from you. And then, how do you balance between maybe looking arrogant and cold in a way that, because when you're firm and when you know exactly what you're doing, it might also give the message that you're a little bit arrogant. It's a fine line that we need to walk. So how do you distinguish between what looks cool, firm, and professional, and what looks arrogant in that sense?
Okay. What I'm doing with my signals, I work on them still after 28 years. I'm still working on my signals, and I try to make them firm and the same in all the plays, and I try to take all the emotions that are possible. So if somebody thinks that this is arrogant, then I'm sorry. There's nothing arrogant about that, but I'm working on that presentation part. I'm open to the players to talk when they come. I never refuse players to talk to them. If they have a question, they come to me. I always answer the question. So, but my signals are always sharp, and they will be sharp. And the players, they know if they watch one game, second game, they say, this guy is tough. He's strong and tough. So
right.
Yes, this is me. So this is who I am. Different players, they are great shooters, they are strong in the defense, and the coaches and players, they know that. One coach is very quiet, the other coach is really emotional with the players, with the referees, so everybody knows. And do anyone thinks that some of the great coaches are arrogant? I don't think so, because this is the way how they run the game.
Yeah,
they are all different. If we are all robots, you're doing the same thing, it would be not so interesting. So this is why we are all different, and this makes us so unique, I believe.
Yeah, and I think it's what you said is important. You do your job well. Your signals, your body language, everything is in the perfect shape, or however perfect it can be, and then that's who you are, and then you're not close to communicating with the player. So you don't necessarily want to give an arrogant kind of vibe to the players and coaches in that sense. And yeah, I think we're almost done with the audience questions. I have like one more question that is a little bit different from your past, but rather talking about what would you advise for young referees or referees who have started their career recently. One example is I'm sure you will recommend reviewing the game footage after for certain things, checking. Do you have these kind of advices for people who would like to be one day a EuroLeague referee or a FIBA referee like myself, who is talking to you right now?
Okay, sure, you watch the games, but you look for the small details. Everything that is bothering you, why you did this, how you communicated with the players, with the coaches, what was your posture, how you were standing, the signals, all the small details that you like and you don't like. You change different signals. You try to change the approach, the way you run the plays, if you run enough. All the small details. It's not about only decision making, but all the other things. I would also ask. I would also mention to find one older partners, more experienced, to watch the game with you. Just ask them, "Can you watch one game with me?" Why? I just want your opinion. How you see myself? Do you? It's not in the. Ask them not to watch only about the decision making, but about movements. Would you do something different? This point, this point, this point. You can find more than one person. Great, because then you can combine these things together. The other thing I would mention, to ask as many questions as possible to the older partners, the partners in the game, so you learn from them. And I gave this advice, and when I was officiating with the different officials, they were asking, "What did you say to that coach? What did you say to the players?" So, and I'm always trying to remember what did I say at that moment. So, and then one more thing I would mention is to watch as much as possible the high level basketball.
Yep.
And analyze the plays. This is where you watch not only the signals, the movements, but also the decision making and the play calling. So when you learn the play calling, and I did this when I was a kid. I got an advice. I took the whistle, and I was officiating the game on TV. So the game was on TV, and I was in the sofa, very easy, and I was beep, calling the fouls. Foul, no foul. So, and I was calling more than the referees on the court. And then they were showing the replays, and I was, I was not right. So the referee was closer, so they didn't call the foul. Or vice versa. I didn't call, they called, they said, well, what are you calling? So then the replay, they were right. So that was also a good example I would also mention.
All right.
And yeah.
Sofa calling, sofa referee.
Everybody is sofa experts, so take the whistle and make the calls.
Right. Okay, that's it. That's going to be interesting. Now, the audience, all of them will take their whistle and watch some FIBA World Cup at the end of August, early September, and calling it from their sofas. Let's see what their household looks like afterwards. But yeah, I get your point. I think that's a brilliant advice. And then final question. And before the final question, actually, what you said about this mentor thing, this is something I've been very adamant of, like finding a mentor, like an older mentor for an aspiring young referee or a recent career referee with a recent career. It's very important to be able to, do what we do right now, that I can ask you these questions, because a lot of the concepts are still need information from someone who actually knows what they're talking about, so that I could actually take that theory and then apply in the practice. Maybe federations who listen to this, I'm sure there's a couple, would take that advice into practice. Speaking of federations, let's talk about the Latvian recipe for refereeing success as the final thing. Like there is a lot of high-level Latvian referees, and then you included, obviously. A lot of in Euroleague, Eurobasket this summer has been whistling. So what is the recipe? What is the secret sauce, if you have any?
I believe it's a competition, first of all, between us. We have very talented referees at home in Latvia, and the federation is working on that a lot. We have a mentor system, so that every young referee who is potentially FIBA referee, he receives one FIBA referee who is working with him during the season. Mm-hmm. He is answering all of his questions about on any personal level. So I have my referee when we talk about everything. So in the game, how he's feeling with the partners, but everything stays between us. Sure. So it's very personal communication. So when we try to do better product. So I understand that this is the future. And the best thing is that I learn is that I share the information that I have with the younger officials, so they get better. So when they are getting better, I need to do something else to get better. So they are coming to my level, so I need to work harder. So because the young generation, they are catching up things so quickly. And as we know, the technologies and all the things, they are so quick with learning. And they are getting better very quickly. And we have a lot of, why we have a lot of talented referees, because we show them the path that is possible to go to the Olympics, to the World Cup, the Euroleague. So they see that everything is possible with the hard work. Yeah. And we, the top officials, we don't, hide the information on what we did, what was right, what was wrong. And Kostas Sloukas in Latvia, he's doing a brilliant job about young officials and working in the youth competitions and bringing them and showing them how is the path, what is the right thing, the wrong thing, and he's working very hard with them. Right. And this is the way how we create the product. So, and the best referees who are in the program, they are somehow find a way to become FIBA referees. So, and then but there is one thing, every time when we have, for example, 14 spots for the FIBA referees, I don't remember we send all 14 names ever. Well, I think we send 13 or 12, no more. Because when we send somebody, we say he must be ready or she must be ready for that level, that we say you are ready and you go there. So, and we also have, let's say, a couple of spots empty, and for example, 6 people fighting for 2 spots, and they write the report. They are doing the fitness test. They are doing all the other questions. They're answering the English question. And so, a lot of things they are doing to show that they are good enough to go for this level. So, right. This is our recipe.
Right. So I want to clarify a couple of things, just to make sure that people who listen to this, who are decision makers, can actually get that bit right, extremely right, to the extent it's possible. The mentor program that you talked about, at what level the young referees started to get assigned this mentor? Do you need to climb to a certain level before you get assigned a mentor?
Yes, to get a mentor, you need to be. You need to come to the top division. Yeah. First of all, you come to the top division, or you are about to come to top division. Okay. So this is your position can be from 20 to 30 in that place, and you are young and potential for the future. So we discuss in the referees committee that this referee can be something. He's working in the second division, or he will start to work in the first division next year. So this is the place where we start thinking about him as an international referee, if he wants that. Because not many referees are ready to be international, because they understand they will be traveling a lot because of the job, because of everything. We have a lot of talented young referees, but they are studying and they say, I don't want to connect my life with officiating. Officiating is nice now because I can get some pocket money, very good money, but I'm not ready to be international. So don't include me in this program. Very honest answer. They are officiating. They are very good. And after maybe 1-2 years, they say, maybe I can try. Maybe you can put me in the program, because I started to like it more and more and more. So some things in the life are changing. So you're adapting. So this is the way.
All right. Thank you for clarifying that, Olegs. And I think I took more of your time than I promised that I would. So thank you very much for your insights. And then, yeah, there you have it, folks. Like, I hope you enjoyed the journey of Oļegs Latiševs and all the advice that he has shared with us. I truly enjoyed this 1 hour or so, and I'll be looking forward to applying those in practice as the season starts next month. So once again, thank you for your time, Olegs.
Thank you very much.